Hi, welcome back to Mill Savvy Tutorials. I'm Luke and we're going to be continuing with our beginner's guide, and this is lesson 3. In the last video we applied our toolpath front and back to this, and in the very first video we designed this model, put the fillet round here and done the chamfers and the holes. So in this one we're going to be setting up our tool groups. So let's start with number 1, which is op10. Let's call that op10. Give it a program number. Different companies have different standards to how they give program numbers. This is the part name, so this is called test part 10, and then I'll call it op10. Put your name in, and then in here you're going to want to put your the title of the job, which is like your job name. You're going to put your drawing number, what revision it is, put a date of who done it, and the date of which it got programmed, and then you're going to want to put what datum you're using, G54, and you're going to want to put where your datum is, X equals center of job, and you can put here, because X and Y is the same, put X and Y, and then depending on how you and your company standards are, depends on, you might be using probing, you might have lang vices. If you're sitting on parallels or clacks, then depends on how you put the information in there for your Z figure. So some people might say top of stock, allow for skim or something like that. If you know the height of your vice and you know the height of your stock, you can put in whatever, 22 mil above the vice. We're only going 21 mil deep. You'll be clear that way. So for this, I'll just put top off stock, allow for skim, and I will put an additional note. I mean, I'm not going to machine this part, but it's good practice to put more info than not enough info. So in this sense, I will just put a little bit of info in here saying max tool depth 21 mil, right, when profiling. Right, so now the operator knows, as long as his Z height, or he or she's Z height, is above 21 mil above the vice, then nothing's going to touch the vice. Better to put information in there like that to cover that person. The more info you give them, the more flexibility they have over their setup. They don't know, and the stock comes in wrong. Say they buy 15 mil stock rather than 25 or something like that. Yeah, alright, you should look through your program, but let's be honest, we've all worked with people that don't. So put the info there. You're trying to help out your lowest skilled person. If you're sitting on parallels or whatever, just put 48 mil parallels, and you can say hold across 54 mil stock with let's say 28 mil. Let's say it's 28 mil stock. Well, that's excessive. We'll say 25 mil up. And then you want to put a brief description of what you're doing. So we are machine face profile holes, pockets, and chamfer. Click OK. Save that. As you update that, you need to save it. Now this one is pretty much the same, but we're going to call it op20. Give it a separate program number that's not quite the same. Part number, test, part 10, op20. Put your name in here, and then if you want to save a little bit of time, most of the time your setup information is going to be nearly the same. So you just copy and paste that, and then alter it to suit. Go down there and alter the bits that are different. Say for instance we set this on 35, the vice is 50, so that's 20 mil thick job. We could say here we go 5mm above device. And if you really want it to be really nice, you could say job finishes at 20mm thick. Again, the person that's setting this up, you'd hope they'd read the drawing, wouldn't you? But we've all been there. Right, so let's click save. So now we put our information in here. That is what we get when we click post. That'd be at the top of our program. All of this, that's how I've got my post set up at the moment. So let's go into my has 3-axis new, and I'll talk about how I've got this set up. So you go to your NC, go setup. I'm going to select my 3-axis new, go post and format. See, now I've changed these from the standard has post. Sorry, go up here into my standard. I think even this I've changed, to be honest. Have I changed it or not? No, it looks pretty standard to me. And I've gone through these and updated these to keep to get these to how I like them to be. And I've deleted a lot of stuff that doesn't need to be there. I've added stuff in different places that suits my sort of standards. For instance, my start and finish format. I've got my notes, which is what we just filled in up here, and then I've got my tool summary, which is my tool library, like my tool list. All the tools I use there being there as well. I've added a G187P2 to the top line, and then I've got my safety lines here. I've got my cancellation codes here, absolute movement. I've got a G53 movement and an optional stop. This, for those that don't know, on a Haas machine you can use G187 P1, 2 and 3, and that basically defines the movement of the machine. So P1 would be rough, P2 is medium, and P3 is finish. Your default is P2, which is medium. If you use a really old machine, it's got a little bit of slop in it, you're going to want to put that as P3, and you might even want to use was it G61, where it reads one line at a time, because some machines are they're old and worn out and they can't look too far in front. In here you've got your rapid line format. So I've got this picks its data from, when I'm programming on whenever I select anything here, and you've got the Z20, Z2, that's where this pulls that data from. So you've got your Z there, which is your first one, that'll be your 20mm, and then you've got your X and Y position, and then you've got your Z2 there. So that's how that corresponds to what you're doing here. And then I've removed all of the G80s from here because I don't need it there. I don't want to program 2 lots of G80s. And if you look at my start and finish format on my tool format, I've added it here. It's not going to hurt being there for every single line, every single tool, even if it's not using any drill machining cycles like drilling or tapping or reaming. But it's just there. Rather than programming 2 lots of G80s, I've just put that on every single line. It just looks a little bit neater when you post it. Don't be afraid to come in here and look what the codes mean. Look, brackets. You know what I mean, and that's that you can just insert that in where you want. You can type stuff in like a G4P2. You'll see this all just looks a little bit messy at the moment, but when you post it, you'll see how it comes out. So have a play with that. The best thing to do is play with it on a separate post. So if you go in here, go set up. For instance, if I wanted to clone this and then mess around with it, if I just click new, it would then say, yeah, do you want to just call it 3-axis new 2? Do that, mess around with it. If you make a right mess of it, it doesn't matter, does it? You can just delete it by deleting post there. Look. So let me post it out now and you'll see what it looks like. If I click post, you can print off your job sheets and send them to the operator as well, and that'll give you a rough cycle time. It'll give you a little background picture of what it's going to do and what it's going to make. It'll give you a tool list. Real good, the job sheets on OneCNC. You've got a simulation option there as well. But let's click post. We'll just put it here and we'll just put post test. Click save. And it'll load up, and this is how it's going to post out. So there's your tool list there. You've got your information that we typed in, and then you've got your your tooling operations here. So let's just Control F. I'm going to go M06. Find next. F3, and you can just scan down if you wanted to have a little look down there. You know, for instance, like now, I wouldn't advise people to do this, but I personally, I add G10s here for tools that I know need to have certain offsets. I'm confident enough to add code into a program and be confident it's going to work. I've programmed out a machine for 12, 13 years, so I'm pretty confident when it comes to G code. And then I could just remove that bit of information there. But the idea is I do both. If I forget, the information's there. The tool, you're banking on the operator to do it. If you don't want to trust someone else to do it, then do it yourself. Add the offset there. That's going to set that tool. And you can scan down this to your heart's content. If there's any, at the end of the day, you watch your simulation. If you manipulate your post, then you want to have a close look at what it's posting out. But if you've got something that you trust, then you don't really need to look at too much at it unless you're going to go down and do what I just did by adding G10s on stuff. Once you looked at your post and you're happy with it, click the X, click save if you've added something to it. That's all there really is to it. Don't be afraid to have a play with the NC and get this laid out how you want it. I'll just go back into that post that I just done, and you'll see that my my layout is, I would say it's quite tidy, but others might not. But you'll see, like on my top line here, I've got quite a lot of codes on one line, and this is the layout that I like. The way I used to post stuff on OneCNC, I used to have loads of duplicate lines and things. So like I'd have these twice for some reason. Then I worked out that I could do it in a different way and I could get rid of them, so then I don't have to go in there and delete them. That's why I haven't got a Z movement there, because I like to, while my tool is at its highest position, move in your X and Y and then come down in your Z. Do what you need to do, lift up, get clear, go up to your safety heights there, and then same again, bring your next tool in, move to where you need to go, then come down. That's probably the safest way to move around on a CNC mill. You want to do all your moving while you're up in the air, and then come down and cut, because if you're doing a 3 or 4 vice set, in your 4th vice you might have a big fixture, might stick higher than your op 10 vice, but if you've got the bed over one way and you click go, it might move in X, Y and Z at the same time. Mine doesn't, but yours might, and it could hit that fixture. So my post is set up to be as safe as you can have it, in my opinion. But you set it up to your company standards however you want. Once you've done that, let's just click save, and that job's done. Thanks for watching.